Good morning, students. Welcome to the lecture of Real Analysis 2. In the last lecture, we have seen an important preposition regarding the integration of the simple function. That of we know already how to find out the integration of the simple function. Correct now? How should we find the integration of the simple function? Whenever a is written as ai into chi of ei, this may be any representation, whether canonical or not canonical. Still, the integration is given by integration phi equals to summation ai into measure of ai. No doubt, ei's are provided to be the measurables. Then, this preposition tells us about the operations of the simple function and their integration. Therefore, the preposition states actually that integration a phi plus b psi is a integration phi plus b integration psi. Second point says that whenever phi is greater or equal by psi almost everywhere, then integration phi is greater or equal by integration psi. To give the proof of this, we have written phi and psi to be the simple functions in terms of canonical representation, and if we want to take the linear combination of these two canonical representations, we have made the parameters and the corresponding underlying the sets to be same. Okay, with this we have denoted to be ek as ai intersection bj. Then we have written phi and psi to be in terms of this format, right? Though it is canonical or not canonical, we are not bothering about that, and just we have proved the given preposition. Then to prove phi greater or equal by psi, we have just substituted the particular values of the constant a and b as +1 and -1, so that it gives us integration phi minus psi is integration phi minus integration psi. And using the fact phi greater or equal by psi almost everywhere, we know phi minus psi greater or equal by 0 almost everywhere, where the integration on both the sides, if I take, it will be non-negative. Hence, it gives the proof, right? And one note we have written that for any representation of the simple function phi, this is the format ai into chi of ei. Maybe canonical, maybe not canonical. Then the integration is given by summation ai into measure of ei. Now we are proceeding further to find out the Lebesgue integration of any bounded function. Then the idea behind this was we have discussed actually in the last lecture itself. For any bounded function f, our aim is to find out two simple functions phi and psi, such that phi less equal by f less is equal by psi. Okay, which actually means phi of x less than or equal to f of x less than or equal to psi of x for all x in E. If we take the integrations, okay, then what this integration may give us, assuming in Lebesgue integration exists, okay. Therefore, this whatever the left hand side, it works like a lower sum, whatever is the upper integration works like the upper sum, right? And in a Riemann integration, already we have studied. What we have studied in Riemann integration, that whenever we have some upper sum and lower sums, okay, then we were going to find out supremum of the lower sums, right? And infimum of the upper sum. And when we were saying the function is integrable, if both these two sums are infimum of upper sum, supremum of lower sum, if both these are equal, then we were saying that the function is integrable. Means it is like this, no? This is a lower sum. We were interested in finding suprema. This is what about the upper sum. They were interested in finding the infima. Now here I am just mentioning this as sin and phi. Okay. What is the condition here? Phi. F is greater or equal by phi. No. Those simple functions phi are under the consideration where f is greater or equal by phi. And these psi, f is less equal by psi. And the question is, what should be a relation here so that integrability holds? Okay. And the answer to this question is equality. Supremum of this integration phi, if it is equal to infimum of integration psi with this condition, then the function we can assume as an integrable, right? Now this is actually a definition of Lebesgue integration for any f to be a bounded function, but our aim is to show that measurability is necessary and sufficient condition. Therefore, in today's lecture, first lemma we were going to study is whenever f is measurable or function is measurable if and only if this holds. What holds? Supremum phi n is equal to infimum psi. Once this holds, we were going to make it as a definition, right? Or rather, Lebesgue has given this as a definition. Understood the idea behind the concept?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let me go to the preposition. Important preposition, somewhat lengthy preposition we were going to study. Let me write it as a lemma because this is going to help to prove me the next theorem. What the statement says that let f be a bounded function. F be a bounded function defined on a measurable set E. Defined on a measurable set E of finite measure. Finite measure, then prove that what it is asked us to prove, then prove that f is measurable if and only if. F is measurable if and only if. What is if and only if? Again, this is giving a trouble pen tab. Before lecture, I had checked it out. Wait a minute. Actually, we don't have much time to complete the preposition. Now it is working. Very good. If and only. What if and only? The condition which we have discussed. Infimum of. Let me write supremum first. Supremum of integration phi x dx. What is the condition on this here? F is greater or equal by phi is equal to infimum. What is infimum? Yes, psi of x provided f is
less than equal to psi.
Good. Means you have to keep this in mind. Phi less equal by f less equal by psi. We were finding two simple functions phi and psi such that f lies in between the two functions, right? This is what we wanted to prove. Now, as it is if and only if statement, we have to prove this result in two parts. Which two parts? First, I should start with, let us say, measurability. If it is measurable, I wanted to prove that the supremum phi of x is equal to infimum psi of x with this condition. Therefore, let me start with step number 1. Okay, what to assume? Let f be a measurable function. Let f be a measurable function. Okay, what we wanted to prove, let us make it clear first. We wanted to prove supremum f greater or equal by phi integration phi x dx is equal to infimum f less equal by psi integration phi x dx. With dx is to be written. Okay. Okay. Now, the job we were going to make is, our aim is to find out two simple functions, no, which is going to cover your function here. That is like this situation. We wanted to find out, right? For this, what we will do, we will try to make partitions of this y-axis on which f is going to lie. We are going to make partition of the y-axis on which f is going to lie, and accordingly we will conduct the underlined sets ek. Okay, and then we will try to find out phi and psi. let me explain you the logic behind this, how this phi and psi is to be found. Okay, you just pay attention, and if you have any kind of difficulty during this, you can ask me very freely. Let me just write down. In order to find out the functions phi and psi, which is going to make f covered, right now, what I am going to write initially, what is given to us, f is a bounded function, no? What we know that f is bounded function. Okay, if bounded, what does it mean? May I say that there exists m greater than 0 such that, what such that? Mod of f of x is yes less than or equals to capital M on E, on capital M E. Now, whenever I am writing this kind of situation, what does it mean? F of x lies between minus M to plus M, right now? F of x lies between minus M to plus M. Now, what we were going to do, we were going to make n equal intervals, n equal parts of this range minus M to plus M. Therefore, I am going to write divide minus M to plus M into 2n equal parts. 2n equal parts. Now, we are very familiar with this kind of situation, how to make the division. Right now, how to make the division of this interval. This is not of x-axis. We were going to make the division of y-axis, right now, because this is f of x. This is the range of your function f of x, right? So how you are going to divide it? How you are going to divide it? What the idea we will use? We will try to divide 0 to m into n equal parts and 0 to minus m into n equal parts, so that it will be in all 2n equal parts, right? What is the length 0 to m? Is it m?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
How the points should I plot then? Is the first point m by n? Second point 2m by n. Let me continue till the second last point, say n minus 1 m by n. Is it okay? What's this last one actually? Nm by m, that is m, right now? Same part we will do on the left. On the left, we have the length m again. No doubt it is a negative part of your axis, but still it is of length m. Therefore, what will be my first point? Whatever the coordinates we have written on the right, same we have to write on the left with the negative sign, right now? This is minus m by n. This is minus 2m by n. And let me just continue. What is the second last point? Can you just tell me with this? Is it minus n minus 1 m upon n, right? These are the two n equal parts. Okay. Now, we'll make the same 2n equal parts. I'll just rub this part actually, because I have not taken negative part of the axis. Okay. Now, what we will do, we will try to just divide your y-axis in these parts, and we will correct the corresponding points of the domain. So what I'm saying, we will try to collect the corresponding points of your domain. Okay. This is what your y-axis equal to f of x. This is your x-axis. Which axis you have divided? Y-axis you have divided, na? I have drawn. Okay. Now these are the points we have plotted, right? This is 0, m by n, sorry, on y-axis I have to plot. This is 0, m by n, 2m by n, and just continue up to n m by m, that is n by n, that is m. Similarly, we will do it for the lower side. Minus m by n, minus 2m by n, and continue till say minus m. Okay. Now whatever is your function, whatever is the nature of your function is of the type say like this. Whatever is your function, f say. Okay. What you are going to do? We will just collect those points of the domain where the first function, first part, the function lies between this range. Second function lies between this range, and just continue. Okay. And the corresponding points of the domain you are going to collect. Okay. And whatever this collection we are going to make, we will denote it with some notation, say ek. Now, as this ek is going to be on the positive part of the or having positive values and having negative values as well. Therefore, what I will do, I will define my set ek as. Okay. Now I am going to define ek by. How I am going to define set ek by? Just make sure what I am going to do. Okay, we are collecting those elements of the domain E such that f of x lies between. What it lies between? F of x lies between m by n into k to m by n into k minus 1. Strictly less. We are going to collect those elements of the domain in which f of x lies strictly greater by m by n k minus 1 to less equal by m by n. Okay. Now, whenever this left part is strictly less, and here it is less, equal. Means what kind of points we were going to collect? If I am collecting for this 0, I am going to exclude the function value 0 and I am going to include m by n. Therefore, this region will be there. If I am going to take the second part, I am going to exclude m by n value, m by n as a function value, and I am going to include 2m by n. And this is the corresponding, right? The first one is E0 or E1. K equal to 1, no? Yes, it is E1. 1 m by n. This is E2. Correspondingly, okay, correspondingly what you have to do? You have to select the values of your domain. Okay, therefore what this will be my En. Similarly, on the left also you wanted to find. Okay, and what is the symbol we were giving for the left one? E minus 1, E minus 2, and so on up to E minus n, this range, right? Therefore, the range for your k, what is your range for your k then? Is it minus n less than or equals to k less than or equals to plus n, right now? Why? Because we are finding the values on both the sides. On the right, we were denoting it as E1, E2, En. On the left, we were denoting it by E minus 1, E minus 2 up to E minus n. Is this concept clear to everyone? How we were dividing these function values in order to find out the subsets of the domain? Okay? Yes, students, is it okay for everyone? And now
Yes,
may I say that these EKs are pairwise disjoint. Pairwise disjoint collection of the domain. Why? Because this value we were excluding. We were not including both the upper limits and lower limit. One value we were excluding, only one we were taking. Therefore, whatever the collection EK we were getting is the pairwise disjoint sets. Is the point clear?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
लक्षात येते का डिसजॉइंट काय येणार आहे? कारण एक शेवटची लोअर बाउंड आहे तो सोडतोय, अप्पर बाउंड इन्क्लूड करतो, असं प्रत्येक सेटचं करणार होतं पण, राईट ना? देन मे आय से EK runs from minus n to plus n is countable collection. Whether the collection countable or not? Countable collection of pairwise disjoint sets. Pairwise disjoint sets. Right? Now, one more thing is known to us. F is given to be measurable. We have assumed to be measurable. No. Then what kind of this EK is? f of x greater than by some value, some real value, f of x less than by some real value. Therefore, may I say EKs are also measurable. Since f is measurable function, correct no? Since f is measurable function, then EKs are measurable sets. EKs are measurable sets for all k. Okay? Students, if the points are clear, then only you say yes. Otherwise, you can ask me the difficulty, right? F is measurable. Whenever f is measurable, what kind of sets we were saying measurable? X in E, such that f of x less than alpha, greater than alpha, less than or equals to alpha, greater or equal by alpha. Therefore, this is the point. So this is if this is alpha, f of x is greater than alpha, also f of x is less than or equals to some real number. Therefore, automatically these EKs are going to be measurable sets, right? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, f measurable uses EKs measurable. Therefore, if I define further E to be countable union of these EKs, further E is countable union of this EK running from minus n to plus n, then what will be the measure of E? What is measure of E? Pairwise disjoint collection we have.
Summation.
Summation. Therefore, may I write this as summation? K runs from minus n to plus n into measure of EK. In time being, let me call this as statement number 1. Minus n to plus n. Okay. Now it's a time to define your simple functions, psi n and phi n. Okay. Looking at this structure very carefully, we have already said that f lies between these two values, m by n into k, m by n into k minus 1. Therefore, what I'll do, I'll select the simple function which is giving me this value, m by n into k, as psi and this value as phi. Therefore, what the function I'm going to define? Phi n and psi n as these two. Phi n and psi n as these two. Right. Whether these are having finite values or not, define. I'll say define simple functions. Why those are simple, we will discuss. Define functions for each n as. How I'm going to define? Psi n of x is. Psi n of x is. What psi n of x is? Actually, the function value which is giving this one, m by n into k for each n. For each n. As the value depends on n, I'm going to call it as say psi n. I'm going to call it as psi n of x. So for psi n of x is the function we want to select having a value m by n into k. Okay. What about phi n? Phi n of x is the value I'm going to select having this left hand side. Why we are finding the values like this? Because our aim is to show these two are equal. And we know already why when these two are equal, if we were able to find out the two simple functions, phi and psi satisfying this restriction. Right? Therefore, with this condition, I'm going to define like this. Okay. Now we just want to represent it in terms of characteristic function. How can I represent this in terms of a characteristic function? For every n I want to define. Therefore, k into chi ek of x, because this value k depends on your ek. Depends on your ek. Therefore, psi n of x I am going to define as m by n fixed, which depends on n, okay, into summation k into chi ek of x. And no doubt k runs from minus n to plus n. K runs from minus n to plus n. Okay. Now if you run up the summation here, suppose k takes a value plus 1. Then what's the right hand side here? 1 into chi e1 of x. 1 into chi e1 of x. But if that x is in e1, then only the value is 1, otherwise it is 0. So finally it is going to give us only corresponding k. Right? Similarly, phi n I'm going to write as, oh yes, how can I write it? Again m by n summation k runs from minus n to plus n k minus 1 into chi ek of x. Chi ek of x. We are not writing k minus chi ek minus 1. We are writing chi ek only. That is whether this k belongs to ek or not. Correspondingly, the value we are going to select. Okay, understood how we have selected the two functions?
Yes,
Whether
ma'am.
these two having some finite values or not? Whether functions
ma'am.
are taking finite values? Yes. Whether those defined on measurable sets? Ek. Whether
Yes,
EKs
ma'am.
are
Yes, ma'am.
measurable or not? Yes, they are measurable. Therefore, these phi n and psi n are the functions defined on the measurable set having finite values. Therefore, may I write here these functions are simple functions. Therefore, the heading we will write is define simple functions for each n as like this. Okay. Now, what we will do? We will find out supremum I, infimum psi, and we will check whether these two are equal or not. Okay. Then, before that, may I write the function f now lies between, yes,
Psi n of x and phi n of x.
psi n, and here it is to the left we have phi n of x. Phi n of x, right now, and here it is for all n greater or equal by 1, natural number you can write, n in n. For any two simple functions we have calculated. The job is to calculate only infimum and supremum of phi and infimum of psi. Okay. Now, what I wanted to go for finding infimum and supremum. Okay. Suppose we have this function psi n x, and suppose here we have written infimum of yes, integration psi n and infimum of integration of psi n. What is the restriction on here? F is less than or equals to psi. Can anyone tell me the relation between these two terms?
Less equal.
Yes, infimum is always less equal, and may I add this is for all n greater than or equals to 1 as well. Okay, but what is the value of this integration? Psi n integration. Psi n we have defined like this, and we know its integration. What is integration? Shall I call it as 2? What is integration of psi n? Is it m by n into k into measure of ek, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
For integration psi n is summation k runs from minus n to plus n k into measure of, sorry, m by n I forgot it. M by n k into measure of ek. But the value runs, the summation runs on k. M by n is a constant with respect to k. Therefore, let me take it outside. Therefore, this is minus n to n k into measure of ek. Therefore, what we have written, infimum integration psi n provided f less than or equals to psi is less than or equals to this term. Let me call it as statement number 3. Similarly, what similarly I have to find? Supremum. F greater equal by phi now. F greater equal by phi integration. Oh, sorry, here it is not n because here we have generalized it. No. Right now, those size we were going to consider. Those size we were going to consider for which f is less than or equal to psi. Okay. Is that point clear to everyone? Now, supremum phi. May I write the obvious relation again? Greater equal. Right now? And
Yes,
what about the integration?
Yes.
M by n. May I write directly now? Summation k from minus n to plus n k minus 1 into measure of ek. Let me call it as statement number 4. Statement number say 4. Okay. Now, what is the relation between infimum psi integration psi and supremum integration psi? Is it non-negative? Yes, this is the situation. No? Phi n less than or equals to psi n, or phi less than or equals to phi, whenever phi less than or equals to f less than or equals to psi. Okay. Now may I write supremum phi is always less than or equals to infimum psi. What about their integrations as well? First I'll write integration and then I will write infimum supremum. What about integration phi and integration psi? Is it still less equal with this relation? Phi less than or equals to psi. Integration phi less than or equals to integration psi. What about infimum phi now? And supremum psi? Is the relation holds again? Yes or no? What kind of restriction here we have? F greater or equal by phi. Here F less than or equals to psi. Therefore, what about that difference? May I say the difference is non-negative? Now,
Yes, ma'am.
Supremum, sorry, I wanted to write greater or equal by 0, right? 0 less than or equals to whether we have made any confusion in this infimum, supremum I have to find now. That's what I'm thinking what I have done. Here I have to find supremum. Here it is infimum, no? No one has told, no one is telling me you are making a mistake, ma'am. Huh? अशा सिच्युएशन मध्ये काय घ्यायचं आपल्याला याचा सुप्रीम आणि याचा इन्फिमम घ्यायचा ना याला लोअर सम अज्युम करतोय आपण आणि याला अप्पर सम तर लोअर समचा सुप्रीमम घेतो ना आणि अप्पर समचा इन्फिमम घेतोय काय पण लिहा आम्ही यस म्हणणार फक्त हा ना असं आहे का
No, ma'am.
infimum integration psi f less than or equals to psi minus supremum integration phi. What about phi? F is greater or equal by phi. This is what I have written na supremum phi. If this supremum phi we have to shift on the right. Infimum psi minus supremum phi integration phi is greater or equal by 0. Correct? Now let us just write down both the values. What is this infimum psi we have calculated? Capital M by N summation. What summation? K from minus N to plus N K into measure of Ek minus M by N again summation K from minus N to plus N K minus 1 into measure of Ek. What is the reason for this? Statement number 3 and statement number 4. Actually supremum phi is greater equal, infimum phi is less equal. Therefore if I want to find subtraction supremum phi minus infimum psi, what will be the value? Greater or equal by 0, no? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
This term is less equal by this one. Supremum phi is greater or equal. Now if I want to have a subtraction, infimum minus supremum, therefore what to do? You can multiply this statement on both the sides by negative. Therefore this becomes minus supremum integration phi less than or equals to minus m by n summation k minus 1 into measure of Ek. And then you can add these two. And what will happen if I am adding m minus m by n summation k minus m by n summation k minus 1. That is what I have written here. Okay. Let us just simplify. Therefore, this is 0 less than or equals to m by n. Let me take common. Okay. Let us make the summation also common. Therefore, this is minus m by n. Okay. Measure of Ek taken common. Now, what we remains with? K minus 1, right now? Therefore, what we have proved, 0 less than or equals to m by n summation k equals to minus n2 plus 1. This is going to be 1, no? Therefore, this is measure of Ek. But what is summation measure of Ek? We have written this to be measure of E. What is the statement numbers? M of E is measure of Ek?
1.
Yeah, it is 1. Good. M of n is M of n by measure of E is okay. Now M of E is finite. M of E is finite. Let us take the limit on n tends to infinity on both the sides. Taking limit n tends to infinity on both. What will happen if I take the limit n tends to infinity? This term is going to be tending to 0, na? That is, may I say going for less than or equals to 0?
Yes, ma'am.
M by n, 0 less than or equals to m by n. Wait. M by n into measure of E is tending to 0. Okay. Now if it is tending to 0, may I say this term is again less than or equals to 0. We have already written greater than or equals to 0. Now we were saying it is tending to 0. Tending to 0 means less than or equals to 0. Therefore, what about this value if the term is tending to 0?
Both are equal.
Both are equal. Thus, can I write 0 less than or equals to infimum integration psi f less than or equals to psi minus supremum integration phi f is greater or equal by phi, and this is less than or equals to 0, or you can write tending to 0. One and the same thing, which will imply infimum integration psi is equal to supremum integration phi, where f less than or equals to psi and f greater than or equals to phi, and hence we have proved the result. Hence the proof of first part only, okay? Therefore, what we have started with? We have started with the function f to be measurable, and we have proved these two supremum phi, supremum integration phi, infimum integration psi are equal. Okay. Suppose f is not measurable, can we proceed? If f is not measurable, we cannot write EKs are measurable. If EKs are not measurable, we cannot make these f and psi and phi to be the simple functions, right? Therefore, this happens only because of the function f is measurable, and hence we have proved those are equal. Any difficulty in the first part of the proof? If you have, you can ask me.
No,
If you
ma'am.
have, okay. Now, shall I go for the second part then? Now, you should be very attentive for the second part also. What should be the assumption in the second part? Yes, let us assume that. What to assume? Infimum integration psi f less than or equals to psi is equal to supremum integration phi f greater or equal by phi. This is what we want to assume, and we were assuming this to be some alpha, say some number, some real number, right? This is going to assume. Now what to prove?
F is measurable.
Good. The function f is. Before I continue the proof, I just want to know who is going to take your lecture at 12 o'clock? No lecture schedule, na?
No, ma'am.
You may check our WhatsApp group and then you can answer me. Anyone please check the WhatsApp group if anyone is going to conduct the lecture at 12. Otherwise, I'll continue by some half an hour so that we can complete the proof of the second part as well.
No, ma'am. No one has
No one posted, no?
conducted.
I think at the morning you had lecture of algebra.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Can anyone post on behalf of me that ma'am will continue till 12:30? Someone
Yes,
please
ma'am.
post on our group so that other faculties will come to know that we were extending by half an hour. Right? Okay, now our aim is to prove that the function f is a measurable function. In order to prove the function is measurable, what we know, what the definition is actually for the function to be measurable. The domain is a measurable set and the set of the type we want to prove to be measurable. What kind of set we wanted to prove measurable? Collection of all x any such that f of x greater than alpha or less than alpha, etc. etc. Right now? Our aim is to
Yes,
go
ma'am.
for that. Okay. Now, as this thing was given to us, if I look at the thing very carefully, what it tells us, infima integration psi is equal to alpha. Infimum means what? Greatest lower bound. That is, this is first a lower bound, alpha, and then it comes to be a greatest one. Then it comes to be a greatest one. Therefore, if I add some positive number, some positive value on in alpha, whether it will be a lower bound, whether it will be a lower bound is the question. Are you getting my question? Let us give with one example. Suppose I have a set A with the values say 1, 2, 3, 4, or let me take an interval. It will be easier for us to take an interval. If suppose I am taking this to be a closed interval 1 to 5 say. Okay, what is GLB? Infima. What is Suprema?
1 and 5.
1 and 5. Okay, 1 is the infima of the set. What is the meaning? From 1 to 5, if we take any lower bounds, all these previous values are the lower bounds, no? These
Yes,
are the
ma'am.
lower bounds, and these all values are the upper bounds. Among this is greatest lower bound, and this is least upper bound. Question is, if we add some positive quantity in this GLB, will it be an upper bound? If I add this means somewhere here I am going now. Somewhere here I am plotting a point. Whether this new point GLB plus some positive say epsilon, whether it will be an lower bound. Whether it will be a lower bound. लोअर बाउंड होईल का 1 मध्ये जर मी काही पॉइंट ऍड केला समजा
No, ma'am.
1.5
No, ma'am.
किती वेळ लावताय रिप्लाय करायला मग 1 मध्ये काही पॉझिटिव्ह क्वांटिटी मी ऍड केली 0.5 1.5 येईल 1.5 तुमचा लोअर बाउंड असेल का
No, ma'am.
नाही
No,
surely
ma'am.
not. Similarly, if I subtract some positive quantity from the least upper bound, will it be a least upper bound or will it be an upper bound?
No,
Forget
ma'am.
about least. No, it is not. Okay. Now we were following the same criteria to say that as this alpha, whatever is alpha we have taken, works as an infima for integration phi. Infima for integration psi. That is for every psi which is f less than or equals to psi, infimum value is equal to phi. Infimum of all those integration psi is alpha. Therefore, if I add some positive quantity in this alpha, this will not be infima. Rather, we will find out one function for one n. We will find out integration psi n is less than by alpha plus something. Let me write. Then this pen tab is giving very trouble to us. then for each n, then for each n, what I'm saying, see, carefully just see what I'm writing. For each n there exists simple function phi n and psi n such that, what such that? Phi n less than or equals to f less than or equals to psi n, and look at this, and what I'm writing, and integration psi n less than by alpha plus 1 upon 2n, and integration phi n is greater than alpha minus 1 upon 2n. Let me explain again. Infimum integration side, we were assuming alpha. If I remove infimum on both this left side, may I say arbitrary integration is greater equal by alpha, right? That is alpha less than or equals to integration psi. Correct? Now what we were doing? We were adding some positive quantity. 1 upon 2n is the term we were adding for each n. Then now we are finding one function psi n which is strictly less than by alpha upon 2n. For every n such a psi n exists. That is what we were claiming. Okay, that is our job is to find out one function where the integration lies between alpha and alpha plus 2n. Integration lies between alpha and alpha plus 2n. Is the point clear? That's why we are writing integration psi n less than alpha plus 2n. Similar job we will do for suprema. Similarly, what to do similarly for? Yes, supremum phi. Supremum integration phi is alpha. If I remove suprema, what's the logic? What's the relation? Less than or equals to, right? Everyone getting me or not? I don't know. For every n again, now we are finding one value, phi n integration phi n, which is less than or equals to alpha, and which is greater than by alpha minus 2n. That is, from this alpha we have subtracted some positive so that it will not be an upper bound. This is not an upper bound, no? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, these two values we have calculated. Therefore, what about if I multiply this second one by 5 minus integration phi n, may I say strictly less than by minus alpha plus 1 upon 2n. Let me call this as 1 and let this be 2. Okay. Therefore, let me just add these 2 points. Integration psi n, adding 1 and 2. What will happen? Integration psi n. Integration on which set? Set E. Okay. Psi n x dx I can write. Minus integration phi n x dx on E. Now what is the value? Not strictly less by. First alpha plus 2n minus alpha plus 2n. Right now? Alpha plus 2n minus alpha plus 1 upon 2n. What's the value? Alpha will get cancelled. What we have obtained? Integration sin of x minus integration phi n of x dx strictly less than by. Yes? Alpha cancels, 1 by 2n plus 1 by 2n. Is it 1 by n? Is it 1 by n? This is what we have found. Say equation number 3. Okay. If you just see some notes which I have already given to you on our WhatsApp group, this statement was given directly. No previous explanation is there. Whatever I have told you just now. It is means no previous explanation is given. But I am trying to tell you in a very simple manner with every step. Okay? Next. Now, as these two values are given to be equal to us, infimum psi, infimum supremum integration phi. Okay. For time being, now I will define those values as some psi star and phi star. Let psi star be infimum of function psi n over n and phi star be supremum of phi n over n say. Okay. What about this psi star and phi star? As psi n and phi n are simple functions and are measurable, what about the corresponding infima and suprema values? May I say those are also measurable? Right? Those are also measurable. Okay, next. Since what is the relation between phi n and f? We have written less than, no? What is the relation between their suprema? If every phi n is less than or equals to x, may I say supremum n? Phi n is also less than or equals to x?
Yes.
Therefore, may I say this phi star is also less than or equals to f. Similarly, f is less than or equals to psi star. Similarly, f is less than or equals to psi star. Now, what about sin and phi n? Those two are measurable functions. Those two are measurable functions because these are the suprema and infima of the measurable function. This implies, and since phi n and sin are measurable, phi n and sin are measurable. Phi and sin are measurable. May I say it implies phi star and psi star are also measurable. Correct now? Okay. Now, to show that f is measurable, what we were going to do is to show that f is measurable. We were going to prove that this phi star equal to psi star equal to f almost everywhere. Do you remember that preposition we have proved? F equal to G almost everywhere. F measurable implies G is measurable.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Now we were going to take the help of this lemma. Therefore, to show that F is measurable, we will show I don't know whether this pen type will allow us to complete the proof or not. What is the next step actually? To show that phi star equal to psi star equal to f almost everywhere. Once I show this, as phi star and psi star we have written measurable, may I say using this lemma, f will be measurable. Okay. Now to show phi star is equal to psi star is equal to f. Here I will complete to show that f is measurable. We will show that what to show? Phi star equal to psi star equal to f almost everywhere. Correct? Because if these two are equal almost everywhere, phi star, psi star measurable, which will give us f is measurable. The first job we will do is to show this phi star equal to psi star almost everywhere. To show phi star equal to psi star almost everywhere, what is the obvious relation between these two? Here I have not completed. No, see, let me just complete. One point I forgot here. Phi star less than or equals to f less than or equals to psi star. Correct? Now combining these two means phi star is less than or equals to psi star holds. To prove the equality, what remains to prove actually? Phi star is
Greater equal by psi star.
greater equal by psi star. This is to show. Okay. And to show this is equal almost everywhere. What is the job to show? If I want to show this is equal almost everywhere. What is the job? The set on which this inequality do not hold is of major zero. No, see what I'm saying? Our aim is to show that phi star is greater equal by psi star almost everywhere. To show this almost everywhere, what almost everywhere definition says that the property is said to hold almost everywhere if if the set on which property do not hold is of major 0. Is of major 0. That is, if this is not going to hold means what? Phi star greater equal by psi star do not hold means what? May I say
It
phi
will be
star
less equal.
less, strictly less now I can say. Strictly less, no? Phi star strictly less
Yes,
by
ma'am.
psi star. We will collect those points of the domain on which phi star is strictly less by psi star, and we will show that whatever the set we have collected is of major 0. If once we prove these of major 0 means psi star is greater equal by psi star holds, phi star less equal by psi star already we have. Therefore, what about here? May I say as these two are equal, f is also equal to both of them, and as these two are measurable, f will be measurable. This will be measurable. Understood the logic? What we were going to prove? Now we were going to collect the set such that pi star strictly less than by psi star. And we will show that the set is of major 0. If once it holds, pi star equals to psi star almost everywhere is going to hold, which is going to be equal to f, where both these are measurable gives us f is measurable. And hence the proof is going to hold. Okay. Therefore here what can I write now? Our aim is to show what to show? Pi star, check, pi star greater equal by psi star. Almost everywhere. Okay. Therefore, what kind of set we will try to prove? 0 of major 0, collection of all x in E, such that exactly reverse. Property do not hold, we were saying. Strictly less than by psi star, right? And what is the aim to show that? This is of major 0. Okay. Now let me collect this, consider this set. Let me define two more set in order to boost up the result that measure of this set is 0. Okay. Let me now define the sets. First set I will define set delta, collection of all x in E such that phi star of x strictly less than psi star of x. Okay. Why I have assumed this set? Because the aim is to show that measure of this set is 0. Measure of this set is 0. Okay. To define the, to prove the result that measure of this set is 0, now we will define two more sets which will help us to prove this set is of major 0. So the first set I am going to define is delta V such that collection of all x in E such that phi star of x strictly less than by psi star of x minus 1 by v. This is one set. One more set we were going to define delta Vn. This is collection of all x in E such that phi n of x strictly less than by psi n of x minus 1 by v. No doubt n is in n, natural number. Okay. The reason behind this set is known to us. Now we were taking the help of these two sets in order to prove measure of this first set is 0. Look at the set V, delta V. What is delta V? We have defined collection of those elements in the domain satisfying phi star of x minus, strictly less than psi star of x minus 1 by V. Okay. And phi star, psi star are actually the infima and supremas. Then for a particular value of n, if this condition holds, then we are going to denote the set by delta V comma n. Okay, we are going to define this to be V comma n. Now we have the following properties. What properties we will have? Let us check. We have the following properties. Now we will start with let x in delta. Actually, properties means we were finding the interrelation between these sets. Therefore, let me start with an element delta in V, and then we will find the relation between these two sets. If delta in V, no, it is x in delta. If x is in delta, this condition is true, right? Phi star of x strictly less than by psi star of x. May I write this as psi star of x minus psi star of x strictly greater than 0. Okay. Now there is one Archimedean property in real analysis we have. Whenever we have a number, positive number, then there exists a natural number between the two. Let me just write it by Archimedean property. I think you are familiar with Archimedean property, no?
Yes, ma'am.
By Archimedean property, may I write there exists a natural number n in n such that, what such that? This is a positive real number, therefore we can find out a natural number such that this is greater or equal by 1 by n, right? This is greater or equal by 1 by n. You may take an example. Suppose this value is greater than 0. Now, greater than 0 means say this value is some 3.2. That is I star minus I star greater than 3.2. Can you find a natural number where this term is greater than 1 by n? Can you find this? 3.2 greater than 1 by n. You wanted to find out. What is n? Let me make it
1
simple.
upon 1 by
Yes,
3.2.
3.2. Therefore, I have made it simple. 3 it is. Then n is? N is? Greater or equal
1
by
by
3,
3.
right? Right. N is greater or equal by 1 by 3. I want to write 1 by is greater than 1 by n. Therefore, 3n is greater than 1. N is greater than 1 by 3. Okay. Therefore, by Archimedean property, we can find out every such n. Which satisfies psi star minus psi star is greater than 1 by n. Okay, coming back. So psi star minus psi star of x is greater than 1 by n. If it is a natural number, can I find out a real number such that psi star x minus psi star of x greater than 1 by n greater equal by 1 by v. What v is? V is any natural number. Here I have not written, no? V is any real number. Okay, can you find a real number? 1 by n greater than or equal to 1 by v? Any
Yes,
real number
ma'am.
v is possible. Actually, we were writing this just to interrelate, correlate these sets to one another, right? So with this, what can I have? Okay, what can I have? Phi star of x less than by psi star of x minus 1 by v. Is it true? Phi star, let me shift on the right. 1 by v came to the left with a negative sign. So phi star minus psi star v. This condition is actually a condition imposed on the second set, no? Therefore, this is
Yes,
an
ma'am.
element of delta v. Therefore, if I start with x is in delta, one can say that x will be in delta v. If I start with x is in delta, therefore x is in delta v. Okay. Therefore, may I say delta is contained in delta v or delta is contained in union delta v also. Union delta v also, right now? Okay, actually delta is contained in delta v. If delta is contained in delta v is contained in union delta v. Therefore, I have written directly delta is contained in union delta v. Okay, now let us make a reverse relation. Let us make a reverse relation. What about the relation? If I start with an element x in delta v, may I say obviously this is in delta? Because for a natural number v equal to 0, what's the value? Sorry, not v equal to 0, v tends to infinity. This is going to be 1 by v is going to be smaller and smaller. Therefore, this element will be an element of delta. Therefore, if we start with x in delta v, which will give us this is in delta. Reverse is obviously true. Okay. Therefore, may I write obviously delta v is contained in delta. Delta v is contained in delta. Therefore, may I write union delta v will be contained in delta. Thus, what we have? Delta is Delta is union delta V. This is what? One property. Whatever this delta we have written, this is union of all delta V's. Union of all delta V's. Let me go for checking its second property now. Okay. Now, or also. What is the second property now we're checking? Now we were checking the relation between delta V and delta Vn. So let me start with one element in delta V. X in delta V. What this gives us? Phi star of X strictly less than by psi star of X minus 1 by V. Okay. Therefore, can I write this as 1 by V strictly less than by psi star of X minus phi star of X. Okay. Let us keep it here. Now we'll try to find out the relation between the psi star and phi star by knowing these are the infima and suprema. Therefore, here I write, since psi star is, what is psi star we have defined? Infimum of psi n of X. If I remove infimum, what is the relation between sin of X and psi star? Let's equal.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then similarly, what is phi star we have defined? Supremum phi n of X. If I remove, what's the relation? Phi star is greater equal by phi n of X. Which I can write as phi n of X is less than or equals to phi star. Okay. Now we wanted to have a relation between psi star and phi star. This kind of relation. Psi star minus phi star. Okay. Psi star is less equal by this. Phi star is greater equal. If I want to have a subtraction of psi star and phi star, what should I do? Shall I add these two? A and B. Okay. What will happen if I adding? What will happen after adding? Psi star plus phi n x is equal by phi star plus psi n x, no? Okay. Therefore, what is the relation between psi star and phi star now? Phi star minus phi star. Is it less equal by sin x minus phi n x? Right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
But from this equation, what is the number? Previously, 1, 2, I think I have given.
4.
Even yes, it is 4 now. Let me call this relation as 4. Okay. For using this 4, may I say this term is greater than 1 by v. So 1 by v strictly less than by psi star minus phi star less equal by psi n x minus phi n x, which will give us 1 by v strictly less than by psi n x minus phi n x. Okay. Therefore, what can I write? Phi n x. Phi n x is strictly less than by psi n x minus 1 by v. Right now, for n greater or equal by 1. What kind of relation we have obtained then? We have started with x is in delta v, that is phi star, and then we reached to this relation, phi n x minus sin x minus 1 by v. And this is nothing but the condition imposed on your set, delta vn, no? Phi n x strictly less than by sin x minus 1 by v. So for that element which we have started with in delta v, which will be an element of delta vn now, right? For now here may I say x is in delta vn. Now we are about to finish the proof. Again, things are not working. Please work. We have to complete the proof. We are actually about to finish the proof. 5 minutes are there actually, because once we finish the relation between those sets, it will be easier for us to prove that the measure of that set is 0. Once we prove the measure of the set is 0, it is finished, no? Measure of the delta.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I have to buy a new pen tablet now. This I bought actually a year ago. Last August I bought it. Actually, he has given me the warranty of 10 years. Otherwise, I have to show him what's the problem. Let me just try reconnecting. Give me a minute. Yeah, this is not working as it is not working. Let me just stop here. Actually, three sets we have defined: delta, delta Vn, delta Vn, delta Vn. We found the relation between the first two. Second two also we are almost to complete. Now only 5 minutes proof is remaining just to complete to prove that the measure is 0. Let me stop it here for today. Okay, and then we will just try to reconnect this in the next lecture. Okay. At any cost, it is not working. If it works for 5 minutes also, I can complete the proof. No, it is not working. Let me stop. Thank you.